I'm going to begin, Justin, by asking what fans of the Zoolander franchise can expect from this sequel. How does this differ from the first?
How does it differ from the first? Well, it's pointing out the obvious. It's 15 years later, so they've become slightly more relevant. They can expect a big location shift out of New York. We're now international. But as far as growth of the two characters, I don't think they've gotten any wiser or smarter. So they're just as stupid as you remember them.
Good. I mean, you were, of course, starring in Zoolander 1. I was wondering how you went from being an actor in the film to co-penning the screenplay for this one. I mean, did you approach Ben with the idea? Did he get in touch with you about it?
We had just finished Tropic Thunder, and I was asking him about, like, hey, I just kind of anecdotally was going, hey, what's going on with Zoolander 2? And he's like, oh, we're thinking about it. And I said, well, if it ever comes around again, I'd love to be a part of it. And then about a year later, he called me and was like, yeah, I think we're going to maybe try and do it. And then in a pretty short order, we got a decent outline together. And then we got a pretty good script together. And then it went dormant for another 5 years, or 6 years even. And we'd kind of pick it up periodically and tweak it and whatever. But it really just became about sort of the cast becoming available and getting the stars to align that way. And literally the stars had to align. And get them all in the same place together for an extended period.
When I was at school, we were set a task. We had to write an episode of a TV show that already existed, and I went for The Simpsons. So I thought, I know these characters inside out. This will be easy.
And it's super easy.
It was on the hardest things ever. In fact, not knowing the characters so well made it even that more challenging. And I was wondering, was that the case? Because they're so distinctive. I mean, in some regards, you could think maybe it might be easier to write for them, but actually, it might even be harder because their sensibilities are so distinct.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I'm also, we were collaborating, so I was sitting across from Derek himself half the time. So it helps when you have, the voice of one of the main stars sitting with you. No, I was actually. I was eager to get involved and eager to kind of, I wasn't feeling the pressure of, say, writing for because the hard work had kind of been done in the creation of the characters in the first one. So the blueprints were all there, and I'd seen the movie a million times. And it really just became a question of sort of putting them in different situations and scenarios, and it became a sort of game of me and Ben just making each other laugh. And a lot of times we'll write scenes kind of in isolation and go like, wouldn't it be funny to have a scene that is like this? And then once we sort of lay in the plot, stitching it together that way.
And I was wondering, in regards to sort of, there's always pressure for any filmmaker, be it the writer, the producer, the director. But given the cult status that this first movie kind of achieved, I mean, did that just add a sort of weight of expectation on you, just knowing that it had this pre-established fan base that were going to be sort of demanding something so huge from this sequel?
Yes, but at the same time, like, Ben's a very extremely capable director and writer and actor. So it was kind of like performing with a safety net, or at least you're tethered to something, because I trust him sort of implicitly with handling material. So yeah, it was a little intimidating at first, but then once you sort of find your first one or two sort of anchor scenes, which you think, oh, that's kind of bulletproof, then you start to have fun doing it.
And there's some incredible cameos. I won't reveal too many now, but I mean, I was just wondering how that works. Do you write a character and then say Benedict Cumberbatch, we want you to do this, or do you get them on board first and then say, right, let's write something for them?
No, when we first started writing, we had so many people sort of incoming calls saying, we would love to be involved. Is there any little part that I could do? So we knew, just sort of the finger in the air test, that there were a lot of people wanting to come play. So we just sort of wrote, our wildest dreams. So we wrote Bieber, we wrote Sting, we wrote Billy Zane, we wrote, and then just hoped. And then if they were going to say no, then we'd have to go back to the drawing board and kind of rewrite that. And then some of the smaller cameos, it was just about finding holes in their schedule to come and do it.
So just finally, in regards to the Benedict Cumberbatch, I mean, that's been getting some sort of negative press.
It's getting a little stick, but it's that thing where I think once you've seen the film, right?
Yeah.
It's, the joke is squarely aimed at two aging, models, so, and two idiots. So, and strangely, the character is, an incredibly powerful. It's the most famous model in the world, in our world. And it's kind of cool, so I thought it was a very cool idea. So I was a little alarmed at the reaction, but I think once people see it, they'll realize, that we're actually firmly on the side of those, of transgender
That was just
people.
the question, was just whether, how it made you feel knowing that people kind of prejudge this, I suppose, before actually
I
seeing
think
it
that's
in context.
inevitable, it's sort of like looking at the back flap of a book and, and throwing the book away. You sort of have to, slog through it and see if there's really something there to be offended by. Yeah. But I think once they do, they'll be pleasantly surprised.
Well, thanks so much for your time.
Thanks,
much appreciated.
man.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey You Guys!